Welcome back to the forge where the hoard grows and the stack eventually resolves. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic mechanics in Magic the Gathering, First Strike. Have you ever attacked with a creature only to watch it die before it hits back? Or maybe you blocked with a creature and you thought, wait, why did my creature die but theirs survived? Chances are First Strike was involved. Today we're going to break down what does First Strike actually do, the difference between First Strike and Double Strike, how the combat damage steps work, some powerful interactions, and how you can use First Strike to win more combat. So if you ever wondered how you could kill creatures without taking damage, this mechanic is the reason. Let's fire up the forge. What is First Strike? First Strike is a combat ability that changes when creatures deal damage. Normally in Magic, creatures deal combat damage at the same time, but creatures with First Strike deal their damage earlier. In simple terms, they hit first. And if that damage kills an opponent's creature, the opponent never deals damage back. This means First Strike creatures can win combat without dying. To understand why First Strike matters, we need to dive into how combat resolves normally. Combat in Magic has several steps. Beginning the combat, you declare attackers. Then, blockers are declared. Next, combat damage. Wrap it up, end of combat. Normally, during combat damage step, all creatures deal combat damage at the same time. So if a 3/3 fights a 3/3, they both will die. They both will do damage simultaneously, and both creatures will die. This is called a trade. But First Strike changes this. First Strike damage step is when a creature with First Strike is involved. Magic actually adds an extra combat damage step. Combat damage now happens in two phases. First, the first damage step. Second, the normal damage step. During the first step, only creatures with First Strike or Double Strike deal damage. Then the game moves on to the normal damage step phase. Any creature still alive will still deal their damage then. Let's look at an example of First Strike. Your opponent attacks with a 3/3 creature and you block with a 3/3 creature with First Strike. Here's what happens. First, we will go into the first damage step phase. Your creature deals 3 damage immediately. That destroys the opponent's creature and it's dead. Since the opponent's creature is already dead, it never reaches the normal combat damage step, meaning it never deals damage back. Your creature survives, and that is the power of First Strike. First Strike becomes extremely powerful when blocking. A First Strike creature can destroy an attacking creature, survive combat, protect your life total. Sometimes your opponent may not attack at all because they know their creatures will just die. This makes First Strike an excellent defensive tool as well. Now let's talk about its bigger sibling, Double Strike. Double Strike creatures deal damage twice, once during the First Strike damage step and again during the normal damage step. So if a 3/3 creature with Double Strike attacks unblocked, it deals 3 damage during the first step and then another 3 damage during the normal damage step for a total of 6 damage. That's why Double Strike works incredibly well with equipment and buffs. First Strike becomes much stronger when combined with power boosts. Imagine a 2/2 creature with First Strike. Now imagine equipping it with something that makes it a 4/2. Now it can destroy larger creatures before they can even deal damage back. This makes First Strike incredibly strong. With equipment, aura, and combat tricks, they become a real combat monster. One of the most brutal combinations in all of Magic, and one of my favorites personally, is having a creature with First Strike and then giving it Deathtouch. Deathtouch means any amount of damage destroys a creature. So if a creature has both abilities, it deals damage first. Even if 1 damage goes through, it's lethal. This means a 1/1 creature with First Strike and Deathtouch can destroy a huge creature, 17/17, without even taking any damage. It's one of the most efficient combat mechanics in all of Magic the Gathering. First Strike is great when you're playing aggressive decks, aggro decks that want creatures that can attack safely, win combat, and push damage. Opponents often don't want to block First Strike creatures because they're at risk of losing their own creatures with no trade and nothing to gain. This means First Strike creatures can apply constant pressure all throughout the game and helping you control this board state. First Strike is especially powerful in draft and other formats, and it is limited in other environments. Many creatures have similar powers and toughness. Normally that leads to a lot of trades, but a First Strike creature can attack safely, break the board stalls, and control combat. Because of that, First Strike often gets much stronger and limited than they first appear. When First Strike doesn't help, First Strike isn't unbeatable. It's often biggest opponent is creatures with much higher toughness or power. Your damage may not be able to destroy it. Also, if both creatures have First Strike, they deal combat damage at the same time during that First Strike damage step phase. So the abilities cancel out. But even then, the First Strike still changes how players think about combat, which is something good to keep in your pocket. First Strike may seem like a simple mechanic, and it is, but it's one of the most important combat abilities in Magic. It allows creatures to kill before taking damage, controls the battlefield, punishes bad attacks, wins combat more often, and once you understand First Strike, you start to see combat very differently. Because sometimes the creatures with First Strike is the only one to actually survive. So if you enjoyed this breakdown of First Strike, let me know in the comments what's your favorite First Strike creature in Magic. And if you want more Magic the Gathering breakdowns like Flying, Trample, Double Strike, Deathtouch, like and subscribe to the video. And if you're looking to upgrade your decks, there will be a link in my description for my TCG Seller Pro website, as well as a link in the description for my Discord, which we are always looking for chill members who want to play some games on days where it's just running slow. And always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay golden, and I'll see you back at the Forge. Peace.